Hi, I'm Gulraj Singh Shahpuri. We're talking about the 4 C's of charisma. I'm a leadership trainer and coach, and I'm excited to be here today with you guys because we're going to talk about the second of the 4 C's of charisma. Today we're going to talk about control. Have you ever wondered who goes first when you enter a room? Who is supposed to greet whom first? Do you look for age? Do you look for gender? You know what? You go first. You're always going to go first from here onwards, unless you're meeting the Queen of England, and I doubt if you ever will, because then you're supposed to speak when you're spoken to. Otherwise, you're always going to be first. You speak first, you handshake first. Guys, forget the rules of engagement, because when we talk about charisma, when we talk about people who are highly charismatic, they're allowed to break the rules, because those people, they know better and people give them a break. It's important to realize that when you know what you're supposed to do and who's supposed to go first, you can take a chance and you can go against the grain a little bit. Now, the next time you enter a room, the next time you go to a party, the next time you enter a conference, you're supposed to go and greet people right away. That's going to be you. It looks really charismatic when somebody walks in and he's shaking hands with everybody and saying, hi, hi, nice to meet you, nice to meet you. You know what? That's going to be you, because everybody else says, wow, look at his confidence. It's control. That type of control, when people have it, it looks incredible, because everybody around them says, you know what, I wish I was like that. I wish I could do those things. Guys, it's just a learned skill. You do it a few times and you get it. And you know what happens is you'll do it the first couple of times, you'll feel a little awkward because you'll wonder, well, I don't know how people will respond. I'll tell you how they're going to respond. They're going to love it. They're going to be glad you came up to them, because everybody is feeling awkward in social situations. And when somebody approaches them, the person says, wow, this guy has pretty good confidence, because you don't come across as a person who has any approach anxiety. Rather, you come across as a person who is pretty confident about those things, and nobody knows you're doing it on purpose just so you take control. Now, once you have control, it's incredible, because I always say, guys, take control early and stay in control. Never let go of control. It's one of those things where it's like, I don't know if anybody who's watching this plays poker, but in poker, when somebody takes the lead and stays in the lead, people start referring to him as the leader, and they say, I'll check to the leader. You're going to be the leader in these things. Take control and stay in control. So what are some ways to take control? Here are the simple ones. Always be the first to shake hands, like we just talked about. Always make eye contact first. And as soon as you've made eye contact, if you feel this is a person you want to go meet, start walking over to the person and take out your hand and start extending it for a handshake. People will be surprised and they'll be so glad you did it, because maybe they want to meet you. And if nothing else, they'll see you as a person who's very, very confident, and they'll see you as a person who's in control of the situation. One of the ways of taking control, guys, is always take the control seat. The control seat is your seat. You're always going to sit in the control seat. Now, there are rules of engagement. You can't always go and sit in somebody else's seat, because sometimes there's a seat designated to somebody in the office. Like, you're not going to go to my office and sit in my seat, but there's always going to be a seat in general places like boardrooms, like conference rooms. There's always going to be a seat which looks like more of a control seat. Now, in conferences, it's usually the seat that's in the front row, a little bit to the side. The middle seat is a little uncomfortable for people, but a little to the side, so when you turn a little bit, you can see the whole conference room and everybody sees you as well. Now, in a boardroom, the control seat is the seat which is diagonally opposite the door, closest to the door in many cases, and in other cases, it's not closest to the door, but it's diagonally opposite the door. It's certainly never a middle seat, unless it's the seat at the head of the table, which can also be the control seat. Now, you want to be in that seat. So as soon as you go in a boardroom, you look around and you say, okay, I'm going to sit in that seat, and you're waiting for the other people to come, and now you are in that seat where everybody who walks in the room, they look at you first, and you're always the one who greets them first, because that's one of the ways to stay in control. You keep greeting people all the time, and everybody else feels, he's the person or she's the person in control, and the person who's just walked in will obviously feel that you're in control of the situation. And this is all subconscious. They don't really know it, they don't logically know it, but they know it because their subconscious tells them. Now, it's important that you stay in the control seat every time you come back into that boardroom over and over again, because so people get to see you in that seat. Indra Nooyi, who is the CEO of Pepsi, says in one of her interviews that she used to always be on the right-hand side of the chairman of the board. So when the chairman of the board position was up for grabs, everybody looked at her because they always felt that she's the right-hand person of the chairman. Now, this was important because, well, nobody can say whether she would have been elected or not, but she herself says, I don't know. But because I was always to the right of the person, well, she was in the control seat or one of the control seats. So guys, never the middle seat, always a seat that's diagonally opposite the room or closest to the door of the room. That's always the control seat. Here's a little trick of mine that I'm going to tell just you guys about how, well, everybody will find out on the net, but I'm going to tell you guys about this trick that I've been using for a long time now. It's this trick of sitting on the table. Now this goes back to my university days when I was studying, and I would always feel that in group projects, I would always get the lousiest task. I realized one day that if I just stand up, and let's say there's 4 people in a group talking and everybody's sitting and I'm also sitting in my seat, if I just stood up and started talking like this to everybody, now I can't be standing the whole time, so then I would sit on the side of the table and I would talk to people. Now they're talking up to me, I'm talking down to them. And when it came time to assign the duties, everybody was looking at me to take the lead. I was in control, and I would say, okay, well, you're going to do this and you'll do this, and how about you do this, and I'll put it all together. I would always take the smallest part, and I always got away with it. It happened each time, every time, and nobody figured out what I was up to. But I've been doing that for a long time now, and it's worked every time. I was in a meeting the other day where I was in a group and we all had to do something, and I stood up instead of sitting down, and then I kicked my chair away a little bit. And now I had no chair to sit in. What am I going to do? Of course, I'm going to keep standing and talking to everybody. All of a sudden, I was kind of, in their mind, nominated as the leader of the group. Now, another thing you always have to do to remain in control is whenever your group has to be represented, you always have to be the one who's the designated speaker. So if a mic is coming to your group, you're obviously going to take the mic because everybody feels, well, you're the head of the group. And stay in that position forever, guys, because it really makes your confidence go up and it makes everybody else feel like, oh, you know what, this person has it together. And if they think you're in control, even your subconscious is going to be on board with that one. So this was the second C of the 4 C's of charisma. Watch out for the third one, but I love this control one because it's really impacted my life, and I hope it impacts yours. Before you go on to the next part, do share and like this if you're watching this on Facebook or LinkedIn. And if you're watching this on YouTube, do subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, guys.